I wanted to make a video for parents who are feeling guilty about using screens at this time. I realized yesterday that this has got to be the first time in human history that parents have had to care for our children completely on our own, with no support from our community, from our schools, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, and other caregivers. So we are not wired to do this on our own, and desperate times call for desperate measures. So if you're finding that you're using screen time in order to get a break, that's actually a pretty wise move, because if you're at the end of your tether, there's no release valve other than that, most likely. Of course, outside time is great, and we're getting a lot of outside time. So I'm aware that not everybody has access to nature and access to outside time. So if you can get out, do it, and then you can contrast that outdoor time with the screen time that you may be using a lot more of than you would normally want to do. Screen time is especially useful for parents who are also trying to make a living at this time. So that's one way to meet this challenge. Of course, there are many wonderful suggestions of activities that you can do with your child. You can create a yes space. You can set up some sensory activities. I find that usually that's going to involve some parent involvement sooner rather than later, and it's fantastic and wonderful. But if you need an extended time to get work done or to calm your nervous system, then a screen is going to come in really handy. So, I just heard some thunder. So I want to talk a little bit about pendulation. So pendulation is a somatic experiencing term which describes the phenomenon, this natural phenomenon of going in and out of regulation. So we might experience sympathetic activation and then go back into our safe and social nervous system, that ventral vagal state. We may go into shutdown. So if you're scrolling, that's a form of parasympathetic shutdown. And then you come out of that back into connection with your child, into that safe and social ventral vagal state. I'm doing a lot of that. I'm up, I'm down, and then I'm back into a regulated place where I can be connected to my children. We're not expected to be regulated and connected all the time. That is impossible, especially under these very extreme circumstances, which again, we are doing this against our nature. Our nature is to raise children in community, not by ourselves. So be easy with yourself. You may need a lot more movement than you realize to get into that mobilization response. If you're experiencing sympathetic activation, what would maybe feel like being triggered, we might call that being triggered. I need to do a lot of vigorous movement. I need to listen to loud music and do vigorous movement. And I post videos on my dancing playlist where you can see how I deal with that. And of course I do that at home with my kids too. So you can involve your children with that. Mobilization is also how we get out of shutdown. So we don't go from shutdown right into safe and social ventral vagal. We have to go through the sympathetic. We have to go up the polyvagal ladder through sympathetic activation to get to that place of social engagement. So movement, outside time, all very useful for regulating parents and children. But also the screen is okay right now because it's hard. If it feels hard, it's because it is. And I'm right there with you.